What is up, guys? It's Josh here from 3x3 One Man Branding Agency, and I'm going to run through today the case study that we did with GrowSaaS. Will and Liam, they're a B2B SaaS consulting, growth consulting agency, consulting group. But yeah, so I thought I'd quickly run you through, well, not quickly, I'm going to go actually quite in depth, share all the process I did, the rough sketches, the actual deck we shared, the comments, the feedbacks, the working files, instead of just walking through the case study. I wanted to really put you inside my brand, how we built the brand from scratch, what we went through, the problems we solved, the questions we had, etc. So, let me get straight into it. I'm really keen to show you. I haven't planned like a particular presentation, just because I want to keep it raw and show you the actual working files and the creative process, right? So if you stick around, this is what we're going to end up showing you how it got to. This is the final visual identity, logo. This is the case study on our website, but I want to show you the process, the raw process, right? So this is what we end up with. Before we get into, just to give you some context, this is Liam, the one co-founder. I've labeled them two SaaS veterans, right? Joined forces, and GrowSaaS was the baby, or the byproduct of them joining forces, and now they're consulting, right? So yeah, you can see some of their work. Here's Will. There's the other co-founder. There's actually GrowSaaS there, etc. So let me get straight into it. They came to us, or we came to them to work together, right? And the initial problem was obviously first problem was first problem was, okay, brand from the beginning. How are they going to look? How are they going to look and feel? What are they going to behave like? What are they messaging frameworks? Who are they speaking to? What are they saying? How are they going to stand apart? Like, we had no idea of anything really other than the name, right? Like colors, logo, nothing to really build the brand out. So that's quite exciting, but also tricky in the beginning. Like, where's this going to go? So that was the problem. Obviously, the main problem, they needed a brand. But the second problem was, or the main goal was, they wanted to position as premium and exclusive, and this idea of like high-end agency, because they wanted to attract the best of the best. They wanted to build this network of high-performing founders, right? So for us to attract the best of the best, we needed to look like the best of the best ourselves, right? And this meant obviously building a brand identity that communicated that. So another few goals that fall under that was, which we ended up coming up with the strategies, like just playing on the realness of that as two real people consulting, that extending this idea of their personality around. They've proven this personality of their real people, right? And then the third one was that we wanted to show this idea that they have modern day growth tactics and expertise, like consulting for the modern day startup, and not an outdated presentation from execs in suits, right? Like, it's too somewhat young compared to the market. They've got modern growth tactics for founders that want to grow in the digital age. We don't want to hide behind an enterprise. And this is all easy to say now because we flesh this out. So I'm actually show you where I started off. So the first phase is, I normally hit the drawing board with, like I said earlier, so I'm a one-man branding agency, which is great because I have the power to tailor and manipulate the process based on the client, right? So, if it's two founders, co-founders, do they already have a clear idea? Is it a rebrand, etc.? Like, I'm very nimble in terms of how I can lay out the project, right? So for this project, the first phase was, because we had no idea, I needed to hit the drawing board, like, where are we going with this? And this is just a brain dump. I actually found this today, like a file from a long time ago. So it's by no means clearly laid out, just because the creative process, if you had to imagine the creative process, like in the beginning, it's like this, bear with me, and then it gets a little bit like that, and a little bit like that, a little bit like that, and then at the end, you get the brand guidelines, the logo. It all makes sense. It's clearly laid out. We need a brand that clearly knows who it isn't, right? But in the beginning, it's like, it can be anything, man. So that's how the creative process works. It's a bit messy. And my job is basically to try take as little of the work off the founder's shoulders. So I just want to hit all this creative strategy, and I need to just propose them two directions, or just say, hey guys, this or that. Like, try to suck up the information, because that's how we get a successful rebrand, is all three of us, the two co-founders and me, on the same page, right? So in order for us to do this, I need to try extract as much information as them. I don't want to run away with the brand and then we get off and they say, no, I don't like this idea. So to try, briefly run over this, the first idea I had was, okay, where are we taking this in terms of messaging as a brand visually? Are we going to shape up as this like academic, I was going to say academy, university, like, do we have this like milestone achievements? Do we give out certificates, badges for our founders that are working with them? Or do we go for this really one-on-one, like real speedy growth, personal, like, hey, it's two normal people, down to earth, they chat to you like they're your friends. They don't wear suit and ties. They don't have these massive pitch decks or like presentations. Or do we go for this like large firm, like an enterprise look and feel, right? And it's easy to say in hindsight now, which is the best option, just because we had to go through this process. Like in the beginning, you need to know who the brand is and who they aren't. So like, how are they going to stand apart? What do they sound like? What do they speak like? And most people don't think this. Well, if you don't use a branding agency, you'll just throw a logo on there, and then 6 months later, you're like, okay, but how do we sound? How do we speak? Who are we talking to? What's our messaging frameworks? What's our narrative, right? So this is why it's powerful to build this from the beginning. So I played with these ideas, bounce back visually, like how would these look visually? What's going to give the business the best position to be successful, right? So, visually, let's go like separate note of thought. Now we go to look visually like this idea of GrowSaaS. So GrowSaaS, growth, speed, tech, like we said, digital, modern day tactics. So we don't want to shape up as this old traditional enterprise, which kind of rules out this idea, right? Verbally, visually, we're looking, verbally we want this ongoing sense of scale. We help our founders scale. We help them accelerate, help them move with speed. We help them develop, etc. This idea of A to B. So all this stuff's easy to say. No, we're not going for this because you can see the final brand. But in the beginning, it could have been anything. So visually, do we go with this idea of like a flag, a blast, a fire, a ramp, lightning bolt, rocket, arrows, mountain peak, because of the grow? Refine that a bit more, like how that's going to look. So then what I did was actually the proper brand strategy, which I've broken up into. This is refined since this was about 10 months ago. We did this project, but at the time it was a little bit more messy. But yeah, DNA, what are they trying to do? What's the actual why? So like everyone knows what they do, B2B SaaS consulting, but why? Like what's their goal other than like to make money, right? Once you find that, it's great, and we'll start to build a brand of like to start pulling ideas off to build a story around. Who are they targeting? What do they want? How are we going to position them as premium? All of these things. What do they want to look like personality-wise? Modern, premium. This idea of growth hacky came up, which was quite cool because it's like they hack. It's this idea of like digital modern age stuff. So I'm not going to go into all of this, but that brand strategy helps to know how the business needs to shape up. So we know, okay, as a business, we need to be looking premium. We're targeting XYZ target audience, etc. Right? So now we know, okay, visually, we need to make that represent that. So the first idea was that really enterprise look, something like this, which is just it didn't incorporate the idea of them being too down to earth, real people that not in suits and ties, right? Which I said that in the case study, but we didn't know that until we ruled out this direction. So that was nice. Now we know, okay, we're not that. This idea came up of these greens, and this is where the idea was born of splitting, so grow, SaaS, and then merging the idea of like growth, so traditional like grass, roots, earth, soil is green, with SaaS like this sharp tech key green. So it's kind of a merge of the two, like this dark green, earthy green, and then this like tech green. So it's easy to say now, right? But yeah, that's what we came up with, laid it out, 2 directions. One, this is all internal, so this wasn't on the actual presentation to them. But we go for this consulting route where it's very like cold, prestigious. Like once you're in, you're the best of the best. Like very cold, the ruler archetype. like Goldman Sachs really, or we go for this modern tech look where it's like an AI look very, because they do sell modern growth tactics, right? Anyway, so now we go to the brand strategy, what we shared to them. I don't know why this isn't working. That's weird. You just stick with me. Okay, I'll just use it like this. So yeah, now we show them this deck, and this is, I like to do one-on-one meeting or Looms these days. But so we'll do this, see what they're saying. DNA was, we try to figure out what they're selling at, their purpose. So the DNA's purpose, vision, mission statement, values. Like what are these guys trying to do other than commercial gain, right? Like what are they solving for their customers? What are the emotions that after the problem has been solved for their customers? How will this affect the customer's overall life? All of these things. What we ultimately want to do is give post-revenue founders the blueprint to confidently scale. Like they have this idea of they need direction. They're willing to work, but they don't know where to go. So how does GrowSaaS shape up as the brand that solves that gap for them? Like what is our why, right? It's a nice way to figure out your why. But so this is an example of what give them the blueprint that confidently makes them scale. That's kind of boring. But what we really want to do is build a platform so that products that can change the world can change the world. Like that's a lot more meaningful, right? Vision, what impact do we want to leave on our customers? What do we want to have achieved as a business in 5 years? What impact do we have on the industry? All of these things we need to flesh out. And at the time it's messy because you got to rule things out. No, we are not an enterprise brand. No, we are not an academy brand, etc. What impact do you want to have on the world? Founders willing to work hard with good enough product deserve to show their product to the world. All these things, right? Mission statement, values, what behavioral traits do we associate? What's the word in the street about us? Etc. And then these values came up: growth, hackiness, prestigious, experts, transparent, easy knowledge. So it's just two guys. So positioning we didn't do. Verbal language is not in here, but I'll explain later. And then visual identity. So this is the final mood board where it's this idea of, like these tech SaaS founders, like think of Amazon back in the day. Obviously, this is why Combinator, very modern growth techie. This idea of linear is a little bit outdated now, but we did this last year. So it's a lot more trending then. This like AI, collaborative, Harvard, very exclusive. So yeah, this is what I showed you earlier. This is the different directions we could have taken it. Yeah, this is always nice to include, but the logo, it's not going to say the logo that we do consulting and we make you grow with a picture of a rocket. Like that's just very basic. We need to find a unique, simplified mark that the brand can identify behind and build the brand on top of that. So the color was easy. Like I said, the color was a merge between the earthy greens and the tech greens to make this long story short. This is still just a presentation, so it's not the final guidelines, but this green worked pretty well. The gradients, typography was good. DM Sans was your traditional sans serif, but it had these little quirky imperfections and like little cut-offs in the letter forms, right? New Haas Grotesque, basically Helvetica is the clean version. So now we're trying to merge this, trying to strike the balance of this, like to show their personality, but we also want to position their business as really premium, right? So this achieved that pretty well. It has a rough look at the brand guidelines, but it's still the presentation. And then yeah, now I'm going to get to the logo. So the initial sketches were started off with this idea of the G, so to run with the whole brand around the G, but to just have the logo mark as a G, we kind of left out the S, and G, it just worked better as a G and S. So GS, like GrowSaaS together, not just G for grow, right? So the first sketches are always the most basic ones, and then you'll see towards the end that makes so much more sense. So this idea of this G is very modern. Techie came up. Lightning bolts, too common. Trees was just too playful. plants to play for. This idea of like a badge, like we said, maybe an academy, but we ruled that out. And this idea came up of like this, it looks like an AI chip, very modern, but the problem was it just didn't match. Like the typography we had at the process, so beautiful, and these sharp cutoff lines didn't match the process at all. And this logo actually didn't even get explored much because it just wasn't working. But anyway, that served a good purpose to steer us in the right direction. So I kept exploring, and this idea of the circle came up, where we want to include this community because I want to build a community of high-performing founders, right? So the circle is a great way to show these different elements included together, these different components come together, and then this idea came. It's actually really cool to see now back in time how the idea came about. So these 4 components come together as a community, call it that, right? And then played around with those and then realized, okay, let's break those components up into the shape of a G, and then that came around, played around with that, mixed around with the different components, and then put it in the circle like this, and then saw the G, and then found an S as part of the G, so G and S in the same mark, and then put that in the circle. So basically all of the previous sketches down to one mark, which was very successful. It shows signs of the flower, the natural growth. It still looks minimal, it still looks AI, it still looks logical, it looks like a badge, it looks like a group. So the logo was quite successful in that regard, or in every regard actually. This is still the presentation, and they approved it first time. So I'm sometimes, like I said, change the process up. This process, I said, hey guys, just give me an extra week. Like, I know how this needs to look. Let me just flesh it out. Like, just extend the project by a week, and you won't have any revisions. So I did that, and we had no revisions. We went ahead with this. As you can see, it's the G and S. Like I said, some projects you need to get more approval or more ideas off the founder, but sometimes if you have an idea, you just run with it. Traditional agencies is a bit more structured. So I don't want to show you the full visual identity on this deck, but that was the deck that we showed them, and it was quite successful. There goes my light. But anyway, so now it's easy to look in hindsight. Here's the case study. Turned out really beautiful. Here's the visual identity, the brand guidelines we had in place. So, once we've built the brand and they approved that deck, which was great, now we lay that out into, so how does the brand look and feel, like the rules around it. So this is the next phase of just neating up the logo and then putting it all into the brand guidelines. So basically this is what I call like a brand playbook, the rules and do's and do nots of how to use the brand. It's a nice playbook for the founders to look back and say, okay, this is who we are, this is who we aren't. Obviously lay out all the rules behind the logo, so like the clear space, safe space, don't use it like this, different at scale, different color usages, something like this, a logo with these greens. Luckily there's not too many greens, but you still got to make some rules around it, like here, don't use black on green, don't use the light on light, don't use the dark on images, etc. Yeah, you can see it come to life. Favicon as a small logo still works, so pretty successful. Typography, I like to include the actual font there, how that looks, different hierarchy uses of it. So we use this font here, we use this font here, and then also including color in the hierarchy. We do the colors, gradients. Not all brands have gradients, but it's nice to show. And then some more usage guidelines around that. And then here we don't go too far into detail in terms of the extended visual language, but just trying to show some of these we got from Midjourney, like extended visual language. We use these green, dark, high-tech looking images. Photography, we use techie most of the time. Images, advertising, how it would look. Messaging frameworks, we didn't just, it was out of the scope of this project in terms of the actual framework. Messaging framework, like I said earlier, we didn't cover that as extensively, but it's briefly covered here. How do we speak? What do we say? What are the messaging frameworks the value we're trying to get across. So this brand guideline is a great like toolbox for you, or like a rule book. As a PDF to say if you want to hand it off to any other designers, web designers. We ended up sharing this Figma file with the web designer, like, don't use this green on this screen, or don't scale it too big. Like, you'll be surprised how helpful something like this is. Do not put any drop shadows on the logo, please. Like I wrote here, please do not mess around the logo. You have to do stuff like that. Okay, so that's the brand guidelines, which came out pretty well. And just go back to the final case study, some of the final visual stuff. You can see it all come together now. We're really ticking all those boxes that we had in the brand strategy because we know what we're trying to achieve now, right? These very high-tech gradient visual imagery. This is the final brand overview, brand board. You can see some of the website coming together here. If I show you their website, we've got these light greens on the dark, different types of green, really coming through across the whole website. Some of the messaging, the guys again, and that is a project. I'm really, some of it was messy in the beginning, but in hindsight, it's easy to see it come together now. We had great words like Liam looking for branding to increase the value of a company. I can't recommend him enough. We'll also have a bunch to say, and they're standing proud behind their brand now, confidently attracting premium clients where they feel confident, and they're talking, they feel like everything they touch and feel they're doing business out of a high value, high status brand. There's actually the GrowSaaS there. Here's actually something worth showing there. I just want to show you the outro animation. There. So that's the full project, guys. If you want to look at it yourself, I'll leave this case study in the YouTube channel, in the bio or comments, whatever. If you want me to have a look at your brand, I'm giving out brand audits. So, if you want me to have a look at your brand, I can leave you with some pointers and say, hey, try this, don't do this. Maybe just some way to find a differentiation strategy, etc. But that's enough from my side, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And hear from you guys soon.